Hey everyone, today I'd like to go over some of the basic functions in Google Sheets that everybody should know. I'm going to get right into it, starting with adding, subtracting, multiplication, and division. So for these, you're able to do a function or just type out a number plus another number, or do the same thing for the other three types of functions. So first we'll start with add. Let's take two numbers, 3 and 2, 3 and 2, and then we'll do equals add, open our parentheses, click on the first number, comma, click on the second number, and it adds them together. Or you can do equals this number plus this number, and it results the same way. Now if you wanted to subtract, let's do the same thing. Let's take 3 and 2, and we'll do equals minus, open parentheses, first click on the number you're starting with, a comma, and then the number you're subtracting from that first number, our 2, hit enter, and you get 1. Similarly, you can do equals, click on the first number, and then hit the minus symbol, and then click on the second one, and it'll get 3 minus 2 equals 1. Next, we have multiply. Let's take 3 and 2 again, and we'll do equals multiply our function, open parentheses, click on the first number, comma, click on the second number. 3 times 2 equals 6. Again, you can do equals, click on the first number, then hit your asterisk, and then click on the second number and get 3 times 2 equals 6. Then let's move on to divide. We'll do 4 and 2 for divide, and we'll do equals divide function, open our parentheses, click on the first number, comma, click on the second number. Again, equals, just click on the first number, and then do the slash, the division symbol, click on the second number, and you get 4 over 2 equals 2. So those 4 that we just did are all very similar and pretty simple, and I think everyone would be able to figure out the second way I did all of them, where you just type in the symbol, but it's also good to know that there are functions for all 4 of them. Next, you have minimum, maximum, median, and average. So for this, let's use this range of numbers that we have from the first 4, and we'll type in equals min, and then open our parentheses, and then you select a range. So let's say, for example, we'll take the first row here, and then you hit enter, and it'll result in 2, because 2 is the minimum of that range. Next, same thing for max, equals max, open parentheses, we'll do the same range, and then it will give you 5, which is the largest figure in that range. Now we'll do median, and let's do that for this second grouping here. Equals median, open your parentheses, highlight what you want to select, and it'll give 1.5 as the median, which makes sense since you have 2 and 1 meeting in the middle. In between that is 1.5. Now average adds all the values in a data set and divides it by the amount of values in that data set to find the average. Again, equals average, open parentheses, and let's just highlight the whole thing here, and it gives you 3.0625 as the average of all these numbers. Now, those functions were all pretty simple, so we're going to move on to some that you might not have known before this video, starting with the if function. What the if function does is it returns a value based on a logical equation. So say we have the word like here. So we'll type in our if function next to it, equals if, and then we'll click on this cell. If this equals, type in equals again, and then the word like, then, and we'll do a comma, it will show the number 100, the value if true, as you can see right here. Another comma will show the value if false. So if it doesn't equal the word like, then it'll show 0. So because the word like is in this cell D9, then C9 will show 100. But if it doesn't show the word like, then it'll show 0. So say we change this to a different word, subscribe, 0 will show up instead. So pretty simple. And now we have the sum, SUMIF, and SUMIFs functions. I made another video about these 3 functions, but I'm going to go over them very quick here. So sum, very simple. Let's take a few numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sum function equals sum, open our parentheses, and then we'll highlight this entire range, and it will sum up all the values in it. So equals 10. SUMIF is the same thing. You're summing a range, but given a criteria. So let's take the same range, 1, 2, 3, 4, but we'll do equals SUMIF, and first we're going to highlight the range. So the same range, D to G, D11 to G11, comma, and now the criterion. So we'll add our quotations and say greater than 2. So this means that we will sum if the value is greater than 2. So we're only counting the sum of all values higher than 2, which is 3 and 4. 3 plus 4 equals 7. So we get 7. There are also different ways you can use that function. Again, I recommend checking out that video for a more in-depth look into these functions. Finally, we have SUMIFs, which is the same thing as sum and SUMIF, except you're using 2 conditions. So let's do this. We have a range here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and these correlate to different things, such as account A, account B. This one's also account A, account B. So SUMIF will do equals, or SUMIFs equals SUMIFs, open the parenthesis. You're summing this range. That's the range you're going to sum. And you're going to choose the first criterion range. So we're going to do the range of A, B, A, B. And then hit another comma to pick the criterion. So we'll put in our quotations, we'll say the letter A. So this means that you're going to sum the values. I'll hit enter. You're going to sum the values in this range here, because that's the first range we selected in our SUMIFs function, if the values in this range, in column E, are equal to A. So that gives us 3 and 1 equals 4. Now in the SUMIFs function, you can do more criterion as well. If we add on to this, we'll do a comma, and it wants another criterion range. We'll do the same range as the numbers, 1, 2, 3, and 4, a comma, and then we want values, say, greater than 2, like we did in SUMIF. So we'll do our quotations, greater than 2, end quotations, and now the value of SUMIFs is only 3, because you're summing the values in this range that correlate to the letter A in this range, so that's our 1 and our 3, and it also has to be greater than 2, so that leaves just the 3. So kind of complicated, but a lot you can do with SUMIFs. Moving on, we have count, countif, and countifs. Again, I made a video on these 3, but we can go over them very quick as well. So let me get this out of the way, the SUMIFs. So count simply counts the amount of values in a range. So we have our 1, 2, 3, 4 again. If you type in equals count and highlight that range, it will say 4, because you're not summing the total of these values. You're just counting how many cells have a value, and 4 of them do. Again, we will use the same example as we did in SUMIF for Countif. We'll type in equals Countif, open our parentheses, select our range and our criteria. We'll do greater than 2 again, enter, and 2 is the answer because there are only 2 values that are greater than 2. Again, you're not summing those values, you're just counting how many are there. Now let's look at the countifs function to finish out countif and countifs. So let's take our range again, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we'll do equals countifs and highlight our range, do a comma, and we'll count values that are in quotations greater than 2, and quotations, and then in the same range, comma, values that are in quotations less than 4, end quotations, and there's only one value in this range that is greater than 2 and less than 4, and that is 3, and that's only one of them, so 1 would be what we're counting. Now Counta is a little bit different, where you're counting all values, not just numbers, because in count you aren't counting all cells that have a value in them, you're counting all cells that have a numerical value in them. So if you go back to count, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you did an A, a letter in one of them, now the count is only 3 because there are only 3 numerical values in this range. So Counta counts, let's do A, B, 1, 2, equals Counta, open our parentheses, highlight this range, and it counts 4. There are 4 values it counts because it counts both numerical and written values. Now a couple other fun functions. Concatenate, which is C-O-N-C-A-T, that's the function for concatenate. It takes 2 strings and puts them together. So for example, in this cell, you'll type in the word U. In the next cell, type in the word tube, and then you'll type in equals concat for your concatenate function, open parentheses, click on your first value, add a comma, click on your second value, and it creates one value with both of them together. Finally, now, type in just equals now, open parentheses, close parentheses, enter, and it gives you the up to the minute time and date. Hopefully you learned something from this video. There's a lot of good functions in here that you really should know. I'll drop links below to other videos such as my sum videos, my couple of count videos that I have, and I would check those out because I did go kind of quick through some of those in this video. Also, if there's any questions or suggestions for other videos, please comment about that as well. Remember to like the video if you learned something and check out some of my other stuff as well. And as always, subscribe. Thank you.